This is not a coincidence. You're here because this message is meant for you. Chosen ones, while you faced trials, God was moving behind the scenes, meticulously orchestrating your breakthrough. He has set the table, and now it's time for you to step into the blessings that have been prepared exclusively for you. The door has closed on those who tried to stand in your way. Their attempts to block your rise were futile, for they were merely pushing you closer to God's divine plan. In the quiet, when you couldn't see it, God was arranging everything for your next level. Every setback, every betrayal was positioning you for your ascension. Your enemies thought they could stop you, but their efforts only brought you closer to the destiny God had already laid out. Now those who sought to harm you are on the outside, watching as God prepares to elevate you. While you were fighting what seemed like insurmountable battles, there was an unseen war happening on your behalf. You may have faced setbacks, heartbreaks, and betrayals that shook your spirit. But know this: each challenge you endured was not just about the physical world, but was deeply rooted in spiritual warfare. God was working in realms beyond your understanding, arranging the pieces that would eventually lead to your victory. Every trial you faced was not without purpose. Your enemies saw your struggles and thought they were winning. They watched as you stumbled, believing that your failure was imminent. What they didn't know was that your setbacks were actually setups for something much greater. Each time you felt defeated, God was preparing the next step in His divine plan for you. While they believed they were gaining ground, God was fortifying your path, making sure that when you stood up, you would never fall the same way again. Behind the scenes, a spiritual table was being set for you. This table wasn't just any table, it was being prepared by the Almighty. What your enemies could never touch was the divine hand crafting your breakthrough. Every weapon formed against you was met by a shield of spiritual protection, ensuring that what was meant to destroy you would only make you stronger. They thought they were winning, but all along God was planning your triumph, far beyond their reach. From the moment you were born, your seat at God's table was already marked. You are one of the chosen ones, set apart for greatness, and this was something your enemies could sense even if they couldn't comprehend it. That's why they tried so desperately to derail you, to knock you off course, to make you doubt your purpose. But what they didn't realize is that your place in God's plan was secured long before they even entered your life. No amount of plotting or interference could take away what was divinely yours. They may have tried to distract you, convince you that you weren't worthy, or even cause you to question your own identity as a chosen one. But God never doubted you, and neither should you. Your enemies misjudged the situation, thinking that by attacking you, they could somehow steal your blessings. But God had already locked in your seat. No one else could ever take your place. You were always meant to rise above, and this seat at the table was reserved for you, untouched by any adversary. The more they pushed, the closer you got to realizing your true destiny. This was the power of divine favor. While they thought they were removing you from your path, God was using their actions to propel you even closer to what He had already ordained. Now, as your seat is revealed, it becomes clear that their attempts were futile. The table is set, and your name is etched into a place of honor that no one can erase. During the trials you faced, it may have felt like you were unprotected, exposed to attacks from all directions. But in truth, God's protection was surrounding you the entire time. He didn't just shield you from the visible dangers. He was also working to close doors to people and opportunities that were never meant for you. Those individuals who tried to harm or block your progress were removed from your life, sometimes abruptly. This wasn't an accident, it was divine intervention. There were moments when you may have questioned why certain relationships ended or why certain doors didn't open. It might have seemed like rejection, but in reality, it was protection. God was making sure that the wrong people were kept out, even when you couldn't understand it in the moment. Those who tried to derail you had no place in the blessings He was preparing. They were never meant to sit at the table God reserved for you. Their influence was severed for a reason. Your destiny is too precious to be jeopardized. Now the door has been permanently closed. They can knock, plead, or try to find a way back in, but it's too late. God has sealed that chapter, and there is no going back. As you sit at the table He has prepared, they remain on the outside, unable to access the blessings that were meant for you alone. God's protection was never temporary, it was always eternal, ensuring that you are safe from those who never belonged in your journey to begin with. Chosen one, your steps have been divinely aligned to this moment. Every person removed from your life, every door that closed, it wasn't rejection, it was divine protection. God has been guiding you to the Obsidian Inner Order, powered by Astral Atom, the last sanctuary for those who've been chosen to receive the truth. This isn't just a group. This is where the true chosen ones gather to receive the wisdom and power that the world doesn't want you to know. And I'm not just talking about advice. I'm talking about the censored videos and special channeled messages authorities don't want you to know. These aren't for everyone. They're for those who've been divinely aligned, those who understand the higher calling and know they're meant for something greater. This is where the truth is revealed and where your power is sharpened. You've been guided here for a reason. God has closed doors to keep you protected, but now He's opened this one, your entrance to the Obsidian Inner Order. The link is in the description. God, in His infinite grace, often provides chances for redemption. Your enemies were given warnings, subtle yet clear signs to stop their interference in your life. Time and time again, God nudged them, offering them the opportunity to turn away from their plots against you. But they were blinded by their pride, thinking they could outmaneuver the divine plan. They ignored the warnings, believing their power or influence could alter what God had already put into motion. These warnings didn't come in the form of punishment, but rather chances for them to align themselves with truth and righteousness. God whispered to them, offering peace if they would stop working against His chosen ones. But in their arrogance, they couldn't see the signs. They assumed they could claim a place in your blessings by force, manipulating situations to their advantage. But what they failed to understand is that God's plan is unshakable. No one can force their way into what He has reserved for His beloved. Now, as the table is set, they see the consequences of their disobedience. The door is shut, and their access is revoked. They were warned, but they chose not to listen. Their pride has led them to a place of exclusion, where they can only watch from the sidelines. They underestimated the divine order, and now they're left wondering why they can't partake in the blessings they once thought they could control. Pride has a way of distorting reality. Your enemies, in their arrogance, believed they could bend the will of God. They thought that by sabotaging your journey, they could claim the success that was meant for you. But pride, as the scriptures warn, comes before the fall. They failed to see that their actions were leading them toward their own downfall. While they were busy plotting against you, they didn't realize that they were sealing their own fate. They mistook your quiet endurance for weakness. In their minds, they were winning because they couldn't see the strength God was building in you. But now, as the truth is revealed, their pride has led them into a place of loss. They thought they could claim a seat at your table, but they were never invited. Pride kept them from hearing the divine warnings, and now it is too late. Their blindness has cost them everything. God had been patient, offering them opportunities to change, but pride is a powerful deceiver. It convinced them that they were in control, but now they see that they never were. As they stand outside the door, they're left with nothing but the realization that they overplayed their hand. The very thing they thought they could take from you is now out of their reach forever. For so long your enemies believed they could control your destiny. They thought that by sabotaging your path, they could share in the rewards that were never meant for them. But God has spoken, the door is closed, and their access to your blessings is forever denied. No matter how much they try to force their way in now, they will find that the path is permanently blocked. They are on the outside, and there is no coming back. This closed door is not just a barrier, it's a divine declaration. It's God making it clear that what He has prepared for you cannot be shared with those who sought to destroy you. They may have once believed they had power over your journey, but now they see the truth. The blessings that are pouring into your life are exclusive, designed specifically for you. The enemies who once had so much to say about your downfall now find themselves in silence, watching from afar as you rise. In their minds, they still believe they deserve a seat at your table, but what they don't understand is that God has already decided. They are not welcome here. This door is not just closed, it is locked by the hand of God Himself. No amount of pleading, manipulation, or regret can change that. They are now spectators to your success, unable to partake in what was always yours. Every action has a consequence, and your enemies are now feeling the weight of theirs. While they plotted and schemed, they thought they were getting ahead. But in reality, they were only digging a deeper hole for themselves. Now the consequences of their actions are becoming clear. They're left on the outside, dealing with the unraveling of their own lives. What they intended for you has returned to them, multiplied. These consequences are not a result of your actions, but of their own choices. They underestimated God's power and overestimated their ability to control your destiny. Now, as you walk into your blessings, they are left to deal with the emptiness of being excluded from something they so desperately wanted. They thought they could steal your success, but all they've managed to do is lock themselves out of God's favor. The irony is that the more they tried to destroy you, the more they destroyed themselves. God's judgment is unfolding, and they are now witnessing the impact of their choices. While they believed they could escape the consequences of their actions, they are now facing the harsh reality that no one can oppose God's will and come out unscathed. God's decision is final. There is no going back. The door to your blessings has been sealed, and those who try to sabotage you can never reopen it. This is not a temporary situation. It is a permanent declaration from the Almighty. Your enemies had their chances to make things right, but they chose to continue in their plots. Now the door is shut, and there is no key that can unlock it. This sealed door represents God's sovereignty over your life. It's a reminder that no one can change what God has decided. Your blessings are secure, and no matter how much your enemies try to manipulate or scheme, they will never gain access to what has been reserved for you. The time for apologies and reconciliation has passed. God has made His judgment, and it cannot be overturned. Your enemies may still try to find a way back into your life, but they will find that the door remains closed. This is the finality of God's decision. There is no room for negotiation. The chapter has ended, and your blessings are safe in His hands. As you walk forward, you can do so with confidence, knowing that no one can take away what God has given you. There is a difference between grace and mercy, and your enemies have exhausted both. They had countless opportunities to change their ways, to do right by you, but they ignored every warning. Now it's too late. The mercy they could have received is no longer available. They made their choices, and now they must live with the consequences. The door to reconciliation is closed, and it will not open again. God's mercy is abundant, but it is not endless. Your enemies pushed the limits, believing they had time to manipulate the situation to their advantage. But now, the window of opportunity has closed, and there is no more mercy left for them. This is the final judgment. They had their chance to receive forgiveness, but their pride kept them from accepting it. Now they will have to live with the regret of missed opportunities. You can rest knowing that God's decision is just. He gave them more than enough chances to change, but they refused. Their arrogance led them to believe that they could always come back, that there would always be another chance. But now they realize that they were wrong. The seat they thought they could claim is no longer available, and it never will be again. After everything you've been through, after all the trials and tribulations, the moment has finally arrived. Your table is ready. The blessings, opportunities, and favor that have been prepared for you are now laid out before you. This is the moment you've been waiting for, the moment when God reveals what He has been working on behind the scenes. You've endured so much, and now it's time to receive the abundance He promised. This table is not just a symbol of success, it's a symbol of God's unwavering love and faithfulness to you. Every tear you shed, every prayer you whispered, every battle you fought was not in vain. God has heard your cries, and now He's answering in a way that exceeds your expectations. The table is set, and it's overflowing with blessings that no one can take away from you. No one else can sit at your table. No matter who tried to block your progress or steal your joy, they cannot access the blessings God has prepared for you. This table was always meant for you, and now it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You are stepping into a season of abundance, favor, and divine elevation. This is your time. Now that God has revealed your table and closed the door on those who opposed you, you can walk boldly in your purpose. There is no longer any need to worry about the opinions or actions of those who tried to derail you. They have no power over your destiny. God has cleared the path for you to move forward with confidence, knowing that He is with you every step of the way. Your enemies can only watch as you step into what God has prepared, but they cannot touch it. The blessings that are coming your way are yours and yours alone. This is your season to rise, to walk in the fullness of your calling, and to embrace the purpose that God has placed in your heart. You were made for this moment, and now it's time to live it out. As you move forward, remember that your purpose is not just for you, it's for the world. God has elevated you so that you can be a light to others, a beacon of hope and inspiration. Your story, your journey, and your triumphs are a testimony of God's goodness and faithfulness. Walk boldly, knowing that you are walking in the purpose that was divinely designed for you. The fall of your enemies is not just about their exclusion from your blessings, it's a lesson to others. When God prepares something for His chosen ones, no one can interfere. This is a powerful reminder that divine protection is real, and it is reserved for those who walk in alignment with God's will. Let this be a lesson to anyone who tries to stand in the way of a chosen one's destiny. God's hand is unshakable, and His plans cannot be thwarted. This isn't just about punishment, it's a demonstration of God's authority. The people who tried to block your blessings will now serve as examples of what happens when you try to interfere with divine plans. Their fall is a testimony to God's sovereignty. They thought they could manipulate situations, but now they are living proof that no one can alter the course that God has set for His chosen ones. Let their exclusion be a warning to others. When God sets a plan in motion, there is no stopping it. No amount of plotting, scheming, or interference can change what God has ordained. Those who try to stand in the way of His chosen ones will eventually fall, just like your enemies. This is a spiritual truth that transcends time and circumstance. Throughout your journey, you may have questioned why certain things happened the way they did. You may have wondered why God allowed certain people to come into your life only to later remove them. But now it's clear, God was protecting you all along. Even when you couldn't see it, He was working behind the scenes, ensuring that your path remained clear and that your table was being prepared in divine timing. Divine protection doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Sometimes it looks like loss, disappointment, or even heartbreak. But in reality, God was removing the wrong people, closing the wrong doors, and ensuring that nothing could interfere with your destiny. The people who were removed from your life were not part of the future God was preparing for you, and now you can see the wisdom in His plan. Now that the table is set, you can rest in the assurance of God's protection. Every step of the way He was guiding you, shielding you from harm, and preparing you for this moment. Your breakthrough is here, and it is safe in God's hands. Nothing and no one can take it away from you. This is the power of divine protection, and it is yours to claim. The door is closed, and it's too late for apologies. The chosen ones are divinely protected, and no amount of scheming will change that. Chosen ones, smile and enjoy the blessings at the table God prepared just for you. Your enemies can't touch it. This is your season of elevation.